chimps are violent by nature.
I can't see any of them. It's really an eerie feeling.
He ate the whole of his fist.
They eat meat, they love meat.
The big males go after the testicles.
100%.
Look at those teeth. Oh my goodness.
When I first was asked to do a story on rogue chimpanzees, I thought they were kidding.
Like most of us, my image of chimpanzees was of cute, cuddly animals, almost little mirrors of ourselves. We see them in the zoo or on television and can't imagine them as anything but harmless. Almost every kid has wanted one for a pet. And in the US, more than 15,000 are kept as pets. But what I've learned paints a very different and shocking picture of the chimpanzee. That of a savage, cunning, vengeful carnivore. 3 times as strong as an average human, and quite capable of killing and eating a human being.
If these stories are true, these animals are the most rogue that I've ever heard of.
In the past 20 years, there have been more than 18 chimp attacks on children in Africa. Some were killed, and some were eaten. In North America, more than 100 people have been injured by captive chimps over the past decade. When people talk about rogue animals, they usually mean animals that somehow learn to target humans as food. But with chimps, food doesn't always seem to be the main motive for their attacks. In some cases, it seems more like vengeance. In my book, that's if chimps are possibly the most dangerous rogue animal out there. To answer this question and to fully understand an animal's nature, I have to spend time with them, up close. And I'm going to do this in Gombe National Park in Tanzania, home to the most famous community of wild chimps, and one of the scariest killers. As an animal behaviorist and a big cat trainer, I've traveled the world studying animals in their natural environments. I've walked with the pride of lions in Africa. I was on my own with grizzlies in Alaska. And I've been underwater with the Humboldt squid in Mexico during a feeding frenzy. But I've never thought of chimps being as dangerous as these predators. And certainly not capable of harming someone my size. March 3rd, 2005. LaDonna and St. James Davis arrived at Animal Haven Ranch in California to celebrate the birthday of Mo, their pet chimp. At the same time, 2 adult male chimps, Buddy and Ollie, escaped from their cages and launched an attack.
We're not far from Hollywood, and this attack story has all the elements of the best movie script. You've got your cunning plan, you've got your daring escape, you've got your vengeful attack, all leading up to the most bloody, vicious scene. But unfortunately, it's not played by actors. This is played by the closest living relative we have in the animal kingdom.
Do you need fireplace or ambulance?
I don't know. The chimpanzees are out.
How many do you see that are actually in your compound?
Hey. We need the police now. There are still 2 chimpanzees loose. They are not dangerous.
Okay,
The 2 that did attack him are down. I have just shot them.
It only took 5 minutes, but St. James' injuries were devastating. His face was nearly ripped off, an eye and his nose were gone. All of his fingers, parts of his foot, buttocks, and testicle were bitten off. The 2 female chimps were returned after a 5-hour search. Buddy and Ollie were killed on the spot. Why did these 2 attack so viciously? Was it territorial? Were they jealous? Or was this a personal vendetta? No one really knows. To begin my investigation, I've come to the scene of the attack to meet Virginia Brower. She's been caring for chimps and other primates at this sanctuary for more than 20 years.
And these 2 are the last 2 that you have here?
Yes.
Which one's this? Ace.
Ace.
And Bones. Why is there a need for a chimp sanctuary in a place where you know, there are no wild chimps.
When they reach a certain age, simply because of their strength and because they are an intelligent animal, when they reach those years, they start to defy. They don't want to be told what to do, and they just want to be who they are. Every chimp is an individual. Some of them are compassionate. Their emotions are different. Others are just downright nasty and mean, just as with us.
Prior to this incident, Ollie and Buddy, can you describe their personalities to me?
Buddy was what I would call a goofball. He was a very laid-back, happy-go-lucky kind of chimp, the clown of the group. Ollie was a little more stoic and not really get involved in too much, except that Buddy was his buddy, and they would play a lot and laugh a lot.
Buddy and Ollie couldn't have attacked if they couldn't get out. They escaped with the help and skills of one of the females, Bones.
So exactly how was it that Bones was able to figure this thing out?
Bones had put her arm through here, and then she flipped the drop pin and had pushed it open from that side.
It almost seems that the boys that actually did the attack had to somehow convince Bones to let him out because they didn't know how to get out.
Once the gate was open, 4 chimps were free. Buddy and Ollie, and 2 females.
So maybe just walk me through the events of the day.
Whenever Mr. and Mrs. Davis arrived, the chimps would really get extremely vocal, the males would display, and there would be a lot of disruption going on. Mr. and Mrs. Davis came up to sit by Mo, and when I went inside, my son-in-law said, "Oh, your chimps are out," and then I ran to warn Mr. and Mrs. Davis that my chimps were out. I heard a scream, and I immediately ran out, and that's when I had found that Buddy had attacked Mr. Davis. And I immediately went to try and get Buddy off, pull him off, and he was just too strong, and I could not get him to move or budge and that. And then I proceeded to look around to see what I could find. I found the hose with a nozzle, tried to beat him on the back and pull him off. I could not get him off. And at this point, I realized, with already seeing the injuries to Mr. Davis, I realized that there was no choice. I could not get him off, and I ran down to go and get my son-in-law, and told him that he better bring his gun.
At that point, you tried everything else that you could possibly do. There was nothing else you could do. The animal had to be stopped.
It had to be done. There was no choice. Mr. Davis's face was already gone. There was no choice. And that's when I realized that he had to be shot.
What was Ollie's reaction when he saw that Mark had to eventually shoot Buddy?
That's when he dragged him down the embankment. And I ran after Ollie, and I was trying to get him to come to me, but he looked me straight in the eye. He just gave me that last look, and then just went in again. I'm sorry.
It's fine. I'll give you a moment if you want.
I just really can't get over this.
I can give you a moment.
This was just not the way this chimp was. Right. The intensity, it was like there was this rage. And I have gone over it 1,000 times in my mind. Was there something that prompted the rage? What was it? Those are the questions I can't really answer.
Didn't seem like the same animal.
When I was trying to pull him off, it did. And these animals had always responded to everything I did with them. I was one of them. And that's when I realized there was no choice. And I will have to live with it.
An animal that can be this cute and this human-like shows us all the amazing traits that we find endearing to human beings. But this story highlights probably some of the worst characteristics human beings have.
It's hard to imagine that chimps could attack a grown man so savagely. This is the kind of ferocious attack I would expect from a large predator like a bear or a lion. But a chimp? Male chimps in the wild are intensely territorial and natural hunters. They're often violent, sometimes killing chimps from neighboring groups. These attacks can be brought on by a lack of food, during a hunt, to remove an invader, or protect fertile females. Females are not generally as aggressive as males, but they will defend their young and sometimes gang up with other females to retaliate against abusive males. Until now, I hadn't really thought of chimps as violent, but there's no doubt they're incredibly strong and well armed. This is Cody. At 7, Cody's a veteran performer. His trainer is Rick Kelly. Rick's been training chimps for the entertainment industry for more than 30 years. He says chimps make great actors, but he doesn't mix words when describing the risk.
Those people that think, I want one of these for a pet, it never works out. Not maybe sometimes, it never works out. They either get yourself hurt or killed, or get someone else hurt or killed. They just don't make good pets. And chimps are by far the most dangerous of the animals I work with because of its superior intelligence and it's violent by nature.
Shouldn't I be able to take him in a fight?
Not a prayer.
No?
Not a prayer. Cody is about 100 pounds. He's 3 times stronger than we are pound for pound.
Jeez. And we're not the weakest individuals I've ever met.
We're not. And the thing is, Dave, there's no body fat here. This is the greatest athlete in the world. Now, he is a chimpanzee that was basically wild for the most part until he was 2 years old.
Yeah.
And at 2 years old, when we first got him, he probably bit me 40 times.
Really?
And when I say a bite, I mean, it's the teeth sunk in and it bled. He doesn't have his ripping canines in, but let me tell you that just with the teeth you see on Cody right there at the age of 7 years old, could very easily snap your finger off just like a pencil. And these fingernails are like ours, but they're a lot stronger than ours, and they're just like razor sharp. They will actually dig in with their fingernails and strip pieces of meat out of their victims.
Really?
And have been known to do that out of humans. Just sit there and take huge strips all the way down the back. His feet are designed like human hands.
Right.
This is what gives them the ability to grip just about anything. If you try to defend yourself, they'll grab one hand like this. They'll grab the other hand like that. They still got 2 more hands. Most chimpanzees are somewhat apprehensive to come up on a male. Now, if I were to dress you like a female impersonator and just do the great job with you, he'd know you're a man that fast.
Is that
You're
right?
not going to fool a chimp.
I don't know if it's common of chimpanzees or if it's just in the reading that I've done. They seem to go after, the big males, seem to go after the testicles of other males.
100%. The first thing they do is they immediately go for your fingers and anything that's easy targets like that. They disarm you, okay? They know that your hands are weapons, all right? They disarm you, they'll try to disarm your feet, and they will completely take your testicles out and take them far away.
I don't know the signs of stress like I know them with the big cats. What would be the signs of that I'm doing something wrong?
First of all, there's false charges where they'll actually blow up and kind of start hooting and hollering and screaming and yelling and banging the bushes. The other thing is when you see the chimps stand up, especially the males, their hair will bristle up. They will show their teeth and put on a huge, huge face of grin as a grimace when they are extremely under stress and show you. They'll also bark. When you hear that,
That's bad.
it's time to change your shorts.
Okay. If a chimp decides he's going to come for you now, is there anything you can do to calm him down after that, or?
I would stand my ground. I certainly wouldn't run. The second thing I would do is if I knew that there was, without question, going to be attacked, I would lay down flat on my stomach.
Okay.
And fold my hands like this, put them over the back of my neck, spread my legs as wide as I could so they couldn't flip me over and pray.
Okay.
There's not much else you can do. These guys are violent by nature.
It's not just a potentially violent nature that connects us to chimps. Chimps and people share 97% of the same DNA, making them our closest relatives in the animal kingdom. They're one of the most intelligent animals on the planet. They use tools to get food or as weapons. They're known to carry a grudge and seek revenge on their enemies. An adult chimp is all muscle and can weigh up to 200 pounds. They live as long as 50 years in the wild. Captive chimps live even longer. And like us, chimps are highly social, living in communities with anywhere from 15 to 120 members, including males, females, and young ones. Generally, it's the males who hunt, although the females may also join. Their favorite prey is the colobus monkey. The chimp's main diet is fruit of all kinds. They also eat a variety of insects, and when available, they will eat meat. Meat is only about 5% of their total diet, but in every forest where they've been studied, they eat meat. I want to know, what would cause a chimp to attack and kill humans? All of this is a sobering reminder of the danger and risk that lies ahead. When I'm on my own with wild chimps, will I be seen as an intruder in their territory? And as a male, am I in even more danger? Next, I investigate a gruesome story in Africa, home of wild chimps and a horrific attack on humans. My investigation into an unbelievable story of chimp brutality begins with a helicopter ride into the chaos of Freetown, Sierra Leone.
In the past, a hub for the slave trade. More recently, 10 years of civil war. But for us, it's the site of an animal-human conflict more violent than anything I've ever heard of.
To follow the story, I take a bumpy ride through the lush tropical forest to a 100-acre reserve high in the hills of western Sierra Leone. It's here that the attack took place.
April 23rd, 2006. A large chimpanzee named Bruno and 30 of his friends escape from a sanctuary. What ensues? One car gets smashed, someone gets brutally mauled, and another man killed.
Takugama Sanctuary was founded by Bala Amasakaran 20 years ago for abandoned and abused baby chimps, many rescued from the illegal pet trade. Don't let their innocent looks fool you. Even these young chimps are extremely powerful, intelligent, and not afraid of us. Bala's very first chimp was Bruno. Raised at the sanctuary, Bruno became the most powerful alpha male, and he's widely accused of leading the escape. Bala takes me to the spot where the breakout started.
So on that day, the guy was cleaning in this den, but he didn't realize that when he was cleaning, their chimps were doing something here. So they managed to put their hand through and kept hitting till they opened this one.
Hit it with a rock.
With a rock. And this slide, they managed to also put a stick through.
Bala thinks it was Jita who opened the door. He's skilled at using sticks and was seen working this gate before. With the slide door open, the chimps race through the tunnel. The terrified worker ran off in a panic and forgot to close the gate. All 31 chimps escaped and went on a violent rampage.
One of the volunteers, he was in the clinic.
When I saw the chimps, I was just here with one baby. I went inside the clinic. I locked myself inside. They were very excited, of course, because they were out and they were banging the door, like looking through the window, looking at me. They want to go in because they know that here we have food.
As the staff hid, several big males ran down the hill, just as Melvin Mama and 4 others arrived outside the sanctuary in a taxi.
All of a sudden, what came out from the side of the fence was a big chimp. On that moment, the chimp came to the side of the car. He broke the side glass. Then he grabbed hold of my hand. He tried to pull me out of the car. Then he started giving me the bite. Right. He first bit the thumb. Each time I punched him, he gave another bite until he bit off my 3 fingers.
This is where actually the attack took place.
Yes.
This is where the man was manhandled.
So when I punched with my elbow now, he went straight for my leg and then I gave a bite. So he drove his teeth right inside, see, together with here, yeah.
The chimp got away from this guy, but still found the other guy and attacked him because he was the one who was found dead.
The first police officer on the scene described to me finding the mangled body of taxi driver Isa Ganu.
Oh, the cop was damaged, hit all over. No face, no nothing, feet, balls, everything has been dislocated. Don't even know to identify the cops at that moment.
Because of the extreme nature of his injuries, it's believed that the driver by one chimp, but by a mob.
Up to this day, we don't know whether it is Bruno who attacked. Something goes wrong, and if you are the big guy, you are the boss there, everything gets blamed on you.
I'm still wrestling with what provoked these chimps to attack Melvin and kill Isa. Were they protecting their territory, or was this a deliberate act? Of the 31 chimps who escaped, only 26 were captured and returned to the sanctuary.
They are extremely strong and they're extremely dangerous because they don't have any respect for human strength.
Right.
They already know they are big, huge, and they are stronger than us. So that's where the danger comes.
Yeah.
With Bruno still on the run, Philip is now the largest chimp in the sanctuary.
So now he's not even as big as Bruno, is that right?
Bruno is probably a third bigger than him.
Oh, there he is, there he is. You can see how big this guy is. He's gonna use all that upper body strength in defense of his territory, of his food, of his community. It's interesting that they're sitting here throwing rocks at me. This is not a place they're used to seeing people that they don't recognize. And it's just their way of saying, hey, get out of here, and they're throwing rocks. Big rocks, no way.
6 months after the brutal attack, Bruno and 4 other chimps are still on the loose. They're considered very dangerous and need to be captured. And with word that they might have been spotted nearby, Bala prepares for another search. Armed with loaded dart guns, we're heading out to try and find them and bring them back.
But in case chimps come up, the best thing to do is not to run. Don't run. Lie flat. Basically, you are going submissive, you are surrendering that you are not of any threat to them.
We're in an area that we know the chimps are spending a lot of time in. And we know that last night, they were herd here. How do you think you're gonna react if you do see him?
As long as I'm not carrying anything, I'm not armed, I'm just there, very weak in front of him. I don't think he's gonna do anything to me.
I know it's very possible that if he is in the wrong mood, he can come and kill you.
That's the problem with the chimps. He may be your best buddy, but sometimes he's with some guys where he has to stand up to them to say, look, he may be my buddy, but I'm the boss.
Right.
And it's important for him to prove that to his buddies.
We're disappointed at not finding Bruno this time. I admit I'm also relieved. Even Bala was afraid of what might have happened if we ran into him. The stereotype of the cute, harmless chimp has finally been shattered for me. It's alarming to see how ferociously these chimps reacted when I was in their territory. Thankfully, I was protected by an electric fence. Next, I'm off to Uganda to explore more of the chimp's darker side. And I'll go beyond the safety of a protected fence.
This island is 100% for chimpanzees. They are powerful, powerful animals.
The East African country of Uganda has one of the largest chimp populations in Africa, and more chimp-human conflicts than anywhere on the continent. My destination is Ngamba Island Chimp Sanctuary, a 2-hour boat ride across Lake Victoria. It's a chance to go one-on-one with some young chimps.
And although this place was set up because of human cruelty towards chimpanzees. It actually, to me, represents a place where there is no conflict between the two. And that's because this island is 100% for chimpanzees.
Groom them, they groom you.
Dr. Lawrence Mugisha is the chief veterinarian in charge of all 38 chimps. Most were abandoned or abused and would pose a serious threat if they came into contact with humans. Being on an island ensures that no animal can escape. Electric fences and locked cages keep the staff safe from the dangerous alpha males.
It's interesting, the initial reaction, the big ones are fighting, but as soon as the big ones have got food, then the rest of them, they all calm down.
I'm about to enter the chimps' territory, beyond the safety of the electric fence.
They come up, they shoot every morning.
Yeah, every morning and every evening as they come back.
Lawrence and I are taking a group of young chimps into the bush to make them more comfortable with the wild.
Okay.
Even though they're young, I can't let my guard down.
It seems like a calm, tame moment because Lawrence is here and they've done this every day. There still is a little bit of anxious nerves as you wait for all the chimpanzees because you never know what to expect. Hi, Naku. You're very nice. You're nice. How about you? Can we sit together?
These guys are still very young, but naturally back in the wild, they would still be accompanied by their mothers and by their fathers.
Being orphans, these chimps are unfamiliar with the forest. And it's not surprising that they're afraid.
A great way to try and understand what it's like to be with chimpanzees and to be a chimpanzee. Exactly the way they'd be walking in the morning to find some nice fruit.
Without parental guidance, they haven't learned how to hunt for food, stay away from poisonous plants, and avoid predators. And the structure of the group is less defined as well. Chimp society is very structured, with important family bonds, and relationships between the sexes are very complex and at times strategic. Much like people, the more friends a chimp has, the more likely they are to be in charge and to get help in case of conflict.
That's Baluku.
Baluku wants to be the boss.
Yeah, he wants to be the boss. But when they are fighting, others come in and help. Yes, yeah. That's natural. Others will come in and help. That's a very natural behavior. And that's how they really get to respect each other.
This explosion among the group hints at the true nature of the chimp. 1 minute, it's all play, and the next, it's all-out war.
It's almost like a humans would fight where all the friends from one side would come, man, but then no one really got hurt. If they decided that they wanted to display some sort of aggression or physical force, they are powerful, powerful animals. I think I came here in search of behavior and knowledge, which I definitely got. I have seen the sensitive, quiet ones and the outgoing, aggressive little youngster and all of the personalities that you're used to seeing in society. But I think most importantly, I came here with respect for the big, dominant male chimpanzees. I think I'm leaving with just a bit of fear.
Next, I'll face my fear in Kabale National Park in western Uganda, a place with even more horrific stories, where the wild chimps are attacking and eating human babies. With what I've experienced, I feel I'm ready for truly wild chimps. I'm heading to Kabale National Park in western Uganda. I can almost understand the rage of the captive chimps toward humans. But the stories here are of wild chimps coming out of the forest, snatching, killing, and eating human children. Since 1992, there have been at least 18 attacks by chimpanzees on small children around Kabale. One of the most recent by an individual the locals called Kiki, which means killer chimp. Kiki snatched an infant from a field while his mother worked nearby. The baby was found in the forest, dead and partially eaten. The Uganda Wildlife Authority is responsible for managing national parks and dealing with chimp attacks.
Kiki has been residing outside the protected area for a long time. Kiki was lonely, living alone, and when it sees children, it wants to come and touch them, and in the process, it doesn't handle them like humans.
Oh, okay.
So in the process of handling and grabbing, the kid gets hurt.
The Wildlife Authority believes that Kiki was lonely and that he only wanted to play. I found a local tracker who's been hunting for Kiki, and he points to a more predatory motive: food.
Tell me about Kiki.
The first baby he grabbed him. That one was killed.
Yeah.
He ate the whole of his face, that flesh. Yeah, he ate it. He used to eat the intestines and the liver.
Oh.
So
most of the time it's for food?
Yes, for food.
He's attacking the babies to eat them?
Yeah, to eat them.
How many babies in total do you think Kiki went after? Do you know?
Around 10.
10 babies?
Yeah.
And he only killed one?
He only killed one.
And when you see him, is he big or is he small?
Very big.
These attacks seem shocking, but chimps are predators. It's possible that after killing a human baby, they realized it was easy prey and good to eat. Despite being a protected species, there are only 5,000 chimpanzees remaining in Uganda, and the population is in jeopardy. The shrinking forests are forcing chimps out of their habitat in search of food. At the same time, locals are hunting bushmeat, and young chimps are being taken from their families for the illegal pet trade. Do these attacks go beyond the need for protein? Are these chimps out for food or revenge? Are they at war with humans? I head out into the bush with Ronald, a local tracker, in search of chimps, and perhaps an encounter with Kiki.
We're not sure exactly where they are, but we're showing signs of them, and there's our monkey up there, which is good food for them if they decide they want to hunt.
Kiki hasn't been spotted for some time, but Ronald and I stay sharp. He's still in the forest, and this is his territory.
Finally found them. I mean, it's hot, it's sweaty, it's hard work, and they're starting to call. We came in, and they're here. Listen. Just to give you an idea what it's like, you're sitting in the bush. You can hear them around you. You can see bushes moving all over the place, but you just can't see them. In my background, it's always the best way to tell what the animal's thinking and how safe you are is by looking at it. I can't see any of them. It's really an eerie feeling. Oh, she's right above me. They've been up in the trees most of the day looking for food. It's getting hot now. That's when they come down to the bottom just to relax on the ground floor. Look at those teeth. Oh my goodness.
It's hard to tell how comfortable these chimps are with my presence. The big males have their backs to me, so I can't tell if they're getting irritated or feel threatened. If I push it too far or get too close, I could provoke a charge.
Look at the size of this big male. That's what I call an impressive animal. He's so big and so confident in what he could do to me if he had to, that he just relaxes, sleeps beside me. And now he's just gonna go find the rest of the community.
There's no sign of Kiki and no way of knowing if any of these chimps might be killers. Next, I'm heading to Gombe National Park in Tanzania. I'm gonna walk alone among the world's most famous chimps, including Frodo, and everything I've heard suggests he's a true rogue, a real bully, Everyone says he's been bad since birth. I've witnessed the strength and power of captive chimps. And I've walked among wild chimps. Everything has led me to this moment, going it alone with the chimpanzees of Gombe National Park.
Lake Tanganyika, Tanzania. About an hour's drive away, by boat of course, is one of the most famous chimpanzees in the world. And a few years ago, he committed one of the most gruesome acts I've ever heard of.
On May 15th, 2002, a young woman was on her way to visit her husband, a worker in Gombe National Park. But despite the rules, no children under 12, her niece was following behind her with her 14-month-old baby. Frodo, a huge dominant male, swooped down from the trees and grabbed the baby, killing and eating her.
Just arriving at Gombe National Park, and the reason that I'm here is this is the first place chimpanzees were described scientifically as demonic. It's the first place they found that they eat flesh. It's the first place they found that they eat other chimps, and this is the first place that they've killed people.
Jane Goodall began her groundbreaking study of primates in 1960. And Gombe now has the longest running study of any wild animal population in the world. Most of the darker traits in a chimp's character were identified here first. I know that this walk in Gombe is what I've been working towards, but I can't get the brutal attack stories out of my mind. Chimps are territorial. Just being here could provoke an angry male to attack. And the colobus monkeys are overhead. In his prime, Frodo was reported to have single-handedly killed 10% of the monkeys in the forest. He's a highly skilled hunter, and he's still out here. After hours of walking, I catch sight of a large male chimp, but it's not Frodo. This guy's big, but Frodo's huge.
When males like this decide that they feel they've got a big enough group and they want to protect their territory, they're going to walk paces like this. They're going to go all around their border, make lots of noise, and look for any neighboring chimpanzee community to tell them, get out, this is my space.
Sitting here in the middle of this community is completely unreal. The way this mom is staring at me right now is unnerving. She hasn't taken her eyes off me, making sure I keep my distance. If for a split second she thought I was a threat, she wouldn't hesitate to attack. I've been worried about the big males in this forest, but females can be just as aggressive, defending their young. While I film her baby, she suddenly comes right at me.
Come on, get out of your way. Okay. And I didn't understand what she wanted, but she sat in front of me for a long time. And I thought she was just looking at me, but it actually meant she wanted me to get out of her way. I did, and she moved on.
I carry on further into the forest, and I run into another big male. I wonder, could this be Frodo? But his demeanor gives him away immediately. It's another well-known alpha male, Frodo's brother, Freud.
And he was the alpha chimpanzee of this community before Frodo took over. As you can see, these guys are big. Frodo, when he was born, was always called the bully. He was always throwing his weight around. And eventually, he overtook old Freud here. Sitting with this guy, you know, he had the same life as Frodo, lived in the same forest, same mother. What makes Frodo a killer and Freud not?
I don't see any evidence of natural aggression towards humans by these wild chimps. I don't feel hated. I don't see any chimp that seems rogue. But Frodo is still out here somewhere. And perhaps he's a rogue.
When I first started this investigation, I had no idea how dangerous and vicious chimpanzees could be. You know, even in the wild with them, even though they were fine, I got the impression at any point they would have turned on me. Now, it is my impression that if you're gonna understand an animal, you gotta get face to face with it. But I really do believe I've gotten as close as I wanna get to one of these guys. Yeah. Because if I get inside an enclosure with a guy like that, I'm gonna die.
We've seen chimps that are so rogue, so unpredictable, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near them. Think about it. 2 chimps deliberately attack a grown man and savage him to within an inch of his life. 31 chimps escape their enclosure and go on a bloodthirsty rampage, killing a taxi driver and maiming another man. And the idea of a chimp snatching a baby off a woman's back or grabbing a child while her mother's right there is too horrific to believe. These animals are ferocious predators, and while they hunt smaller monkeys for food, they're not afraid to go to war against their own, and they're certainly not afraid to go up against us. They're incredibly strong, smart, and quite honestly, too close to humans. They're intelligent, and with intelligence comes different personalities and individual will. I'm not afraid of any animal I can understand, but chimps are different. We consider people evil if they're violent and commit unspeakable acts. It's the same with chimps. And they are carnivorous. They do eat meat, and they're so aggressive that when a group of adult males is hunting, the result is absolute carnage.
Because these guys are so similar to us, they have all of our worst qualities as well. To have rage, to be vicious, to be vengeful, or just to be mean. These guys have it all. Yes. So it seems like when a chimpanzee does go rogue, I think they're the baddest animals out there.